Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen. I make bookish and college related videos, and the first half will be a library haul. The second half will be all about this creative hobby slash project thing that I've picked up this summer and will probably continue for a while. I have a few books to show you. My public library up here in my college town, they have an adult reading program. You either read 9 books or 9 hours, and at the very end, when you turn your card in, you can receive a mini cutting board that is big enough to cut your limes, avocados, and lemons, things like that. So it's a really small cutting board, but it's still something motivating enough for me to read 9 books in a short amount of time. And they have limited supplies, so I need to turn it in really soon. But I will be showing you 4 different books that I have picked up from my public library. I think I may have talked about one of these before. You'll hear about it again. I have already finished 2 out of 4 of these, and the first book that I finished is Cheeky, a head-to-toe memoir by Ariella Elovic. And it is such a pretty cover. I really only found this book by its spine, and I saw that it was pink, and I saw that it had a peach on it, so I was like, let me pick it up. But if you know about that American Girl puberty book, you know which book I'm talking about. This is basically the adult version of that. However, the author separates each chapter by different body parts, and she goes into her experiences with those different body parts and her journey to self-love and self-acceptance, and I just absolutely love it. And it also talks a lot about like friendship and stuff like that, and this friend group that really helped her out throughout all these tough times. And I don't know, I'm not going to show you any of the illustrations because I don't want YouTube to take this video down. And it was such a quick and easy read when I felt like I was going into a reading slump. So yes, it was like an adult puberty picture book. That's basically how I would explain it, and I absolutely loved it. Next book that I finished is Carry This Book by Abbi Jacobson. As you know, in my last reading vlog or library haul, I read a book by Abbi Jacobson called I Might Regret This. I think I listened to the audiobook. Abbi Jacobson is a comedian and actress. She's the one on the top right here, and she has this book. So basically she has this list of celebrities, political figures, fictional characters, and she imagined what they would carry around with them in their purses, in their pockets, and stuff like that. She has a list of like advice when it comes to packing, and so I thought it was really, really cool. Let me find one that I like. So for example, this is Leslie Knope's page. She has a photo of Anne, a Joe Biden quote book, City of Pawnee ID, a waffle. So like stuff like that. So I just think it was also a really fun and cute adult picture book, kind of how I would describe it. And I just love seeing Abbi Jacobson's creativity manifest in so many different ways through her acting, through her writing for the show, through her writing in her book, I Might Regret This, to her illustrations, both in I Might Regret This and in Carry This Book. So the next book that I kind of just stumbled upon in the public library was Charleston Ghost by Margaret Retton Martin. And it's Charleston Ghost Stories. So if you don't know, I live in South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina is a very, very, very historic place. And so I can imagine that there are a lot of different ghost stories. And I am very excited to read this. I don't know if I want to read this before bed every night. Like, I could just read a chapter before bed every night, but I don't want to go to bed with nightmares. And so I don't know when the best time to read this for me is, because I don't want to read this when I'm in a very happy mood, because I don't want that mood to be brought down by something scary that I read. I don't want to read this before bed with the possibility of having nightmares. I don't want to read this first thing in the morning, because I think that's heavy to read in the morning. So if you have any idea as to how I should go about reading this, let me know. I'm usually okay with reading like mystery and thrillers before bed, not necessarily ghost stories, because Converse College, if you don't know, is definitely haunted all around campus, and I've had my few ghost story ghost run-ins, I should say. So this next book I have definitely mentioned before, but that is How the World is Passed by Clint Smith, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America. So I think in my last video where I mentioned this, I mentioned that I follow Clint Smith on Twitter, and I totally didn't recognize the fact that this is his first nonfiction writing that he has published. I think he's a poet. He's definitely a poet, so he's not like a certified historian type thing, so I'm really excited to see how his nonfiction work carries through, especially in history, because the history of slavery is a topic that I am very, very interested in. Also, I think I'm going to do a video on how to read nonfiction, because a lot of people get very intimidated by nonfiction, but I always tell folks, if you're reading a thick book, hold on. If you're reading a thick book stamped from the beginning, the last 100 or so pages are just acknowledgments and notes and bibliography, and so it's always less intimidating. I mean, it's still a thick book, but it's less intimidating. But same situation with this. I mean, a lot of research probably went into this, and so I'm expecting the last chunk of pages to just be notes, acknowledgments, etc., etc. I'm really glad. I really appreciate just how compact this book is. That book I was just holding, stamped from the beginning, is a thick ass book that I have barely dented. I hope that the history of slavery is also just very compact in this book as well, but in a truthful way, not necessarily, just something that's easily brushed over. But I don't think that's going to happen with Clint Smith. So these are the 4 books that I picked up recently. I'm still listening to Speak Okinawa, a memoir, on audiobook, and so that's probably going to be the 3rd book that I finish, hopefully today when I drive home back to Myrtle Beach. And so I think this is a great selection of books. These first 2 that I showed, I think helped prevented a reading slump, because I'm still currently reading other books. So I'm going to take, I'm going to take Women Race Class by Angela Davis home, as well as Do Nothing by Celeste Headlee, and I think I might take home Charleston Ghosts as well. We'll see. I don't know if I'll actually get any of these done, but if I'm home with no social media, no homework, no work, what else am I gonna do? Okay, so as you can see from the title of this video, I started this creative thing, a podcast journal by Karen Mims. So I'm just going to talk about all of these different pages and kind of show you an overview as I flip through this journal. But when you open up, of course, you see podcast, a journal by Karen. And when you first open up the podcast journal, you will see an entire list of podcasts that I have listened to. So all of these are podcasts that I have either listened to at some point or completed. There are a few of them that I have not finished, it is still going, or I just lost interest in them. And so I also put DNF for those that I did not finish. I like to keep track of what studio a lot of these podcasts come from, because I definitely find similarities in a lot of them, and I find similarities in some of my podcast tastes, if that makes sense. So I love Radiotopia, and I also love any type of podcast that comes from a specific journalism studio or newspaper source. And yes, I also love keeping track of who hosts these podcasts. Am I listening to predominantly women, queer voices, BIPOC voices, and as you can see, that's definitely the case. I started this list called Koi Fish Puzzle. So I have this puzzle that I was putting together, and I wanted to keep track of how many podcast episodes it took. It would take for me to complete this puzzle. However, I did not complete this puzzle. I put it away because I needed my desk for something else. And so I think I'm going to do something completely different to these pages. I have an entire list of Pride podcasts that I really, really want to listen to at some point. And so I don't know if you noticed, but each little section of podcasts are a different Pride flag. Love it. So clever. Next page, we have podcasts that relate back to nature and science. So I'm currently listening to Park Predators. It's not necessarily a nature and sciencey podcast. It's more about a podcast of murder mysteries that happened in national parks. It's definitely not nature and science. This is my favorite spread so far because this is the magazine cover that I was talking about. So these are podcasts that I like to listen to in the morning. So we have Make Your Damn Bed. That is literally a podcast less than 5 minutes. It's so short, but it gives some sort of affirmation or advice for the day while you make your bed. And I don't know, it's just really motivating. I like to listen to NPR's Up First because I don't know if you know, college students are some of the least informed groups of people out there. And when it comes to news, there's just a lot going on. NPR's Up First does a really great job at putting everything into a compact 15-minute or less news podcast, which I really appreciate. I listen to Side Door every now and then. That is a podcast from the Smithsonian, so there's a lot of history involved. It's just a lot of storytelling. I absolutely love it. The next page I'm not really done with, but this is my Throughline page. So this is one of my favorite history podcasts, and it's through NPR. And I was going to list all of the episodes that I really enjoyed or learned lots about, and I wanted to write quotes from some of these episodes onto the next page just so that I can remember what I have listened to, but I'm going to have to re-listen to some of these episodes since it's been a while. But that is my podcast journal. I really only started this because I have a crap ton of notebooks that I have not used or opened up, and I have a lot of free time in the summer, and so sometimes I kind of just sit around and play Sudoku while listening to a podcast, and I was like, I kind of want to use up these notebooks and use up these markers and stationery that I have, so why not make a podcast journal out of it? And so I really like how this page in particular really looks, and so I don't know, I think I'm going to continue this for a really, really long time, and I love that it's in the dotted journal, and I just have so many more pages to fill up. So as I fill this up, I will update you as I go. That is about it for this video. I was slowly running out of ideas. I didn't upload a video last week because it was orientation week, so I had no time. So moving forward, I hope I have more ideas of videos that I want to post. That is it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe. I have new videos coming your way very soon. Bye everyone.